Welcome back to making a fursuit from scratch. In this episode, we finally finished our digitigrade legs. If you're totally new to this series, we've been creating a fursuit piece by piece, part by part, and it started with this head up here, and now we're just wrapping up the bodysuit. It's over there, but it's a surprise. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys off where we had finished last episode, when we had finished the top half of the digitigrade legs. Now, before we get back to making some fursuits, you should check to make sure you're subscribed. A lot of you guys are, and if you like making fursuits or furry art, we do tons of cool stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put you back to where we were at the last episode. In this episode, the plan is simple. We're gonna go ahead and finish our digitigrade legs. In the previous episode, we went ahead and finished the top half. In this episode, we're finishing the bottom half. This whole thing needs to be cut apart, and then we need to find some way to stuff it with polyfill so that when we combine our top and bottom halves, we can have giant, plush-filled digitigrade legs. One good thing is that this whole entire lower leg is going to be the dark brown, so there won't be any complex patterns or anything, but it still will be fairly complex. Let's start by going ahead and chopping off kind of this top and bottom triangle, just to start separating all our pattern pieces out. So there's all of our pieces laid out. It only ended up being a total of 5 pieces. We have the main body of the leg, the 2 digitigrade triangles, and then the little bottom end caps that go like right here on the foam padding. Now, one lucky thing for us is that because it's all brown, this should be pretty simple as far as cutting out. So let's go ahead, put up our pattern pieces, and because we have 2 legs, we're making 2 of each. While I mark out these parts on this fur, I wanted to spend a second to talk about kind of the philosophy of making a fursuit and why you having long-term big projects is just really important. When you can see yourself getting better at something and just over time just having somewhere to dump hours in just to be productive, it's such a good long-term growth strategy. Like, just generically getting good at stuff helps out so much in the long term of life, and these big projects are super rewarding. Trust me, when this is done, it's gonna feel so good. Ooh, would you look at that? So it's starting to look pretty cool now that we've gotten everything cut out. As you can see, we have the 2 digitigrade triangles, bottom end caps, and then the big leg where it's all gonna come together on. And remember, if you can put together a Lego set, you can put together a fursuit. It's basically the exact same thing. Now, here are all the pieces for the other leg pinned together. And as you can see, it's really starting to take shape. You can get that good, like, essence of digigrade from it, just from these pattern pieces being attached. The next step is we need to get both of these 2 guys finished and sewn together, and then we can start talking about attaching this whole section to our main bodysuit. So with our lower legs now sewn together, we can focus on attaching them to the upper digitigrade legs we made last episode. And this part is actually going to be fairly tricky because everything needs to be lined up correctly and placed in a perfect position, because if not, you'll get like Kitty Wonka's digitigrade legs, and it just doesn't look good. We want to make sure everything's nice and lined up. So let's go ahead and see about attaching our legs that we just created to the main mothership bodysuit piece. Ooh, YouTube chat, check it out. It's looking really good. I pinned our brand new piece to the main bodysuit, and I've used the trick from the previous episode where we stuffed it with polyfill just to give it some more form and make it easier to line up. Next, we just need to zip it together with the sewing machine, and that should put us in a really good spot where we'll have almost completed our entire legs.
Yo.
One tricky bit of sewing done later, we now officially have all the fur cut out and sewn together for our legs. But there's one last thing that we need to do before we can call these legs finished. A long time ago, we created these big triangle foam pieces to represent the digigradeness in our digigrade legs. We just finished making big fur pockets for these pieces to go. But we don't actually want to use these pieces to stuff our legs. They're kind of bulky and uncomfortable and they won't be good to fursuit with. So instead, the plan was to use polyfill. And we're basically going to stuff these legs with polyfill. We need to make a pocket so that we can stuff our polyfill into it such that like it's not going to go anywhere. The material we're using for these pockets is Lycra. This is also the same material we used in the headliner a really long time ago. It's a really nice like teal color. It matches the fur, but no one will ever be able to tell. Now, let's quickly cut these guys out. Here's a quick proof of concept I knocked out. With this little backing piece, the foam will have no choice but to stay inside the leg, and hopefully it should give our legs a nice pillowy kind of round look. I'm gonna go ahead and sew this guy on just using a little whip stitch along the edge, and then knock out the other three. There's 2 on each side, 1 for each little triangle guy. Just like that, we've sewn everything together. As you can see, our pattern piece was just a little bit too small, so I went ahead and added this little extension piece up top. Here it is, stuffed with polyfill. Now, we're gonna resist the urge to turn this inside out and look at it, because at first we need to finish the rest of these pieces. Up next, we have our cheeks. We have 1 pocket here and 1 pocket here. We're gonna sew it right in the middle to create like a little valley between our cheeks. So let's quickly knock out this piece. So with that sewn on, we can officially call this butt done. Now, a really long time ago, I mentioned that digigrade legs are basically 4 main parts. You have the butt, the thighs, and then the 2 bottom guys down here. We've already done everything else, and we still have the giant thigh left. The thigh is by far the largest, and because of that, we're going to need by far the biggest pocket. So this is the next and last pattern piece we're going to need to make for our legs. It's going to start up here, and it's going to wrap around the waist, just like a belt, and then end down here where the thighs end, and tie directly into this seam here. This should give us 1 giant pocket that then we can stuff with polyfill and still leave a little tunnel for our regular human legs, because it's going to be sewn up on all the edges. So let's go ahead, you know the drill, cut out our 2 mega pieces that we're going to sew together. A whole bunch of pins later, we've finally gotten everything put in place. All we need to do now is hand sew it to the bodysuit. While I do that, I have a question for you, YouTube chat. Where in the world are you from? Post a comment below saying what country you're from. Someone sent me a message from Turkey the other day, and it's just really cool seeing all the different places in the world you guys are from. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the last bit of hand sewing we're gonna need to do before we can actually turn this inside out and see how it looks. Ooh, check it out, YouTube chat, check it out. These legs turned out so much better than I expected. I think the digigradeness of them, like the zigzag illusion, I think works super well. You tell me, YouTube chat, do you like them, do you hate them? I think these turned out really, really cool. I think for the last few weeks of work, I think they turned out really good, and the mobility is really good. Like, it's a little awkward right now because it's just pinned together, but it's a lot more flexibility than I normally expect in fursuits. Like, you can totally move your leg any way you want. So if you were doing like a dance comp or something, this style of bodysuit would absolutely work for you. I'm really impressed with how well it worked. If you ask me, these legs would look really good on like an Arcanine fursuit or something. They have that good zigzag shape to them. Now, like I said earlier, the next episode we focus on finally finishing this bodysuit. It's gonna feel so good to have this thing finally finished and done. After that, we'll probably focus on getting the tail done, just something easy, knock it out. The reason why this episode's a little rushed is because I'm going to be out of town at the end of this week, so I won't post a video next week. So if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm asking for my one time. Don't subscribe for me, subscribe for these thick, beautiful thighs. Thank you. I can't wait to see you guys again soon.